Jeez, you done know every single time. Oh, Sister Elaine, how you doing, Queen? Good to see you. We just finished speaking about your healing circle, sister. We've just moved on. We've bowed to maybe at the end you can say a few words about the healing circle, because I know some of you said, oh, I missed it. No, you can still join on. You can still join on to the healing circle. Brother Charles, we're going to be with you 1 second, big brother. I promise you, Brother Charles, we'll be with you 1 second. I know you're roaring to go. But brothers and sisters, Sister Elaine, can you unmute yourself? Just 1 second, sister. Sister, you just missed the testimonies of your healing circle. Sister, it's an honor. And is it too late for anyone to join the healing circle, sister?
Hello, everyone. Hello, my brother. No, it is not too late. It's never too late because we recorded the circles. But in terms of your physical presence, yes, we are only going to have our second of the 8 circle meetings this week. So it's not too late. And I look forward. I don't have the words to explain how moved and how inspired and uplifted I have been over the last few days with the responses that we've seen. It has allowed me the opportunity to know that I am most certainly on the right track in terms of the work that I have been guided to do. So thank you all. You know, I love you. It has just been such a pleasure and a privilege to be a part of the Hidden Truth family. So thank you.
But sister, just 2 quick points. We're going to spend no more than 30 seconds on each. How does it feel to be literally one of the world's best practitioners on something like this? Because this is unique. And, you know, you've got a voice and an insight that really goes to the root of our situation. And how does it feel to be number 1? That's the question.
Well, let me just, that's a very humbling question. And I'll answer it like this, Brother Andrew. The work comes through me. All praise goes to the divine. Only the mistakes are mine.
I hear you, sis. Brother Charles is smiling and he's laughing. That means, sister, you've passed that test big time. Okay, okay. And lastly, before Brother Charles comes in now, because we can't wait for this brother. He's a beautiful brother, Sister Elaine. Dr. Elaine, sorry. Sister, in 1 minute, explain for those who may have missed the meaning behind the healing circle. What is the aim and the objective of the healing circle? In 2 minutes, sister, if you could just succinctly explain for those what you know, because they may not understand when we say healing circle. What is it and why is it important?
Absolutely. And thank you, Brother Charles, for sparing a few moments. I'm going to stay on and listen to your presentation because I always learn so much. So the long and the short of it is that the healing circles are created to be a sacred and safe space for our brothers and sisters to begin their healing journey. The healing journey is the journey of resolving, removing, and releasing the wounds, the invisible wounds that reside within us, that racism, our experiences of racism have visited upon us. We think that racism has to end before we can heal. That's not the truth. And we have an amazing capacity to heal when we create the environment internally to do so. And the first step in this healing journey is to come together to create a space where we can speak openly and freely about our experiences, about our healings, about our hope. And that group in and of itself creates an energy that supports and uplifts everyone present and facilitates and accelerates the healing process. And that's what we've already begun to experience with the brothers and sisters on last Friday. It was truly an amazing experience, not only for those who participated, but for myself and for my brother, Jah'S, who conducts the libations. So it heals all of us when we come together in love and peace and in the truth of who we are.
That is such a beautiful breakdown, sister. And that deals with the spiritual side of us too, as well as the psychological. And I think if we marry up the work that you're doing with the work that our brother Charles Gould is doing, dealing with the political side, the social side, and the economical side, I think we're literally the movement of Jah people. We are now the bones in the valley who are rattling and coming together slowly. Brother Charles, how you doing, my king? You can unmute yourself now, brother. You've been on from the beginning of the show. How are you doing, big brother?
I'm good, family. I'm good. Always happy to make you, well, to be present on your show and listen and learn. I always find every time I come on, there's it's just new information. Do you see what I mean? Dr. Elaine, again, the spiritual healing. I mean, these are things that are recently become apparent to me in relation to the aspects of the healing and how deep the wounds go, to be fair. And because I've always been one who kind of almost disregarded that side of things, almost to kind of maintain and show an element of strength. But I think that we've got to be honest with ourselves about how deep these wounds actually go and how much of it is nature and how much of it is nurture and how much of these wounds are actually innate within us and we don't even realize. But this moving it to a whole different level. But I mean, yeah, I fully appreciate and understand the work you're doing, because I don't think there's enough of it, and I don't think we acknowledge enough how much damage has actually been done and how much repair needs to be done. So what you're doing there is amazing. And brother Andrew, I just want to say, always, every single time you educate me, like there's things and depths that you go to that even I didn't know and I still don't know. So I mean, every time I get the opportunity to listen to you, I know that I'm going to be learning and taking away something new. As I said, I think I mentioned last time I was on the show when we were talking about the clock and the invention of the clock and all the other different bits and pieces that, again, I had no knowledge of. So I have to commend you for taking the time out to educate other people and making them aware of these important aspects of our history, because ultimately, if we know where we're coming from, we know where we're going. And I think a lot of us, we don't have that sense of depth of history, and we don't know enough about who we really are and what our ancestry is about. And as a result, it takes away the visions of who we can become. So I have to commend you again for the work that you do here, my friends. All right.
Oh, commend you. Just let everybody know that this is our brother Charles Gordon, the keynote speaker tonight. He's going to get ready to share his screen. Brothers and sisters, this is the founder of the first Black political party in the UK. The establishment is shaking based on his vision, in terms of his organizational skills, in terms of the input is putting this, the founder of the first Black political party here in the UK. He's also a businessman, an entrepreneur, a business developer. So, you know, get ready, brothers and sisters, because he's organizing and he's going to share some of this organizing and some of the works that we're doing that we need to now start linking up to. So, brothers and sisters, just as this brother's getting ready to share his screen, do me a favor, brothers and sisters, put down what city or what country you're listening from. I'm going to shut up. Brother, share your screen, but I want everyone to see. Put down whether you're in London, Chicago, I don't care where you are, Manchester, Birmingham, put down. We got Peckham, we got Leeds, we got London, we got Pinner, we got Milton Keynes, we got South, we've got Leicester, we got Babylon, Lord gosh, we got Jamaica, we got Leicester, we got Stratford, we got Belmont, we got Streatham in the house, we got Brooklyn, New York, we got Belize, we got Nunhead, we got, oh gosh, Bedfordshire, we got Trinidad. Come on, Trinidad. We got Preston, we got Battersea, we got Thames Mead. Big old racist place, Thames Mead. And yet we're repping. We got New York. Oh my God. Shit, Aruba, Guyana. We got Guyana. Big up to Guyana in their house. Finsbury Park. Brother, it's all yours. I'm going to shut up now, brother. It's all yours, King.
Okay. Well, as we start, what I'm going to do is I just want to play a video, just basically look at it more as a Quentin Tarantino movie. We're going to start at the end and then go back to the beginning, if that makes sense. But I just want to play a video just a little bit about what we've been up to and what we've been doing, if that's okay with you, Brother Andrew.
It's all love, King. It's all love. Just share your screen.
Okay, well, this is more Stephanie. I'm not that technologically advanced.
Okay.
So do the sharing.
So Stephanie, make sure you've clicked the two buttons at the bottom for audio, sound, and visual. So it's a smooth everything. I'm gonna shut up, Bob. It's all yours.
Thank you, family. Thank you.
Thank you, King.
All right, Stephanie, we're ready to go. Yeah, we don't have audio.
We need to unify. This is a time that surely
I'm going to say rewind that. I don't want to miss nothing tonight.
Enough power,
rewind that selection. Yes, sir.
we need to unify. This is a time that surely we have enough energy, enough power, enough education, enough wealth, that it's about time that we request unapologetically it's time to level the playing field. Give us an equal chance, because I'm telling you, the time right now is for one voice.
As long as we get someone who can represent us, I imagine my generation will also prosper to be just like those people.
In taking our seat at the political table, what it means is that we will then be in a position to implement change. And that is why a political party is paramount importance, because the only way that we're actually going to change the issues and the dynamics that are happening in our society is by literally being at the table when the decisions are being made and we vote for or against. It's as simple as that. The problem we have at the moment is when there are cuts in the political services or in the public sector of society, the issue that we have is that there's no one to represent working class people in any of those discussions. So the reality is that the working class people simply get done over without there being any representation to support them. So effectively they're not even in the fight, but yet they're being told that their pay is going to be cut as a result of the fight.
If you're alive, you deserve to have a good quality of life. There's no cut-off date, there's no expiry. And I want to be part of helping this country to change. Is this the part where the politician says, so vote for me? Vote for me. Food banks like never before are being used by people that are working, that cannot make ends meet. It's not just the minority of those poor folk that you will talk about. Everybody's turning into poor folk. What are you going to do about it?
The truth is, every society, every community, every culture has got different problems, and they all need to be individually addressed on individual levels and at individual levels. So I think it's important that each community looks at what issues they're having, and we work out as a unit how to help fix and solve those problems within those communities.
I started looking into the party and I started looking into the values that it stood for, and I saw that entrepreneurship was one of the big things on there, and that's what we lack in our community. Our economy's never been stable, it's never been taught to us. We weren't learning how to manage debt in school, we weren't learning how to get involved in business, we weren't learning how to manage property buying, and we weren't learning any of that stuff.
So we need to use the power that is at our disposal, and what we've done at TTIP is we've rolled up the red carpet all the way to the Houses of Parliament, and what we're saying now is you guys all get involved and help us change life for the better in the UK for everybody, not any one group of people. We want society to be reflected, and we want Parliament to reflect the society that we are and that we have become today. And that's the importance of what we're doing, and everyone needs to get involved in order to implement those changes.
Hi, I'm Angela Kayla from Taking the Initiative Party, and I'm running for your local candidate for the Southwood by-election on Thursday, 26th of May. We're stood out here outside Southwood Library. You know, it's quite a contentious subject at the moment due to our local council wanting to close our library. As you can see, we've got locals outside still trying to use the Wi-Fi, which is a key example of why we need to save our library for our area.
Not be afraid to intervene, to ask questions and to verify, you know, who people claim to be.
Have a look at our manifesto, have a look at what we stand for online, and look at what you can do in order to get involved and help the change. We've left a section on our manifesto and deliberately left it blank for feedback, because we want your feedback. We want to understand the things that are affecting you in your society.
We have in this country right now over 170,000 homeless people. We have in this country right now families who are working, and yet still having to go to food banks because they do not have enough food. We have single parents and even two-parent households having to determine, do we buy extra shopping so everybody can eat, or do we eat less so we can keep the electric and gas on? Something needs to be done. So why now? Why not now? We're in a perfect timing. Now more than ever, it needs something more than what's gone before.
And we've never had a commission board that spoke for us. Every other institution's had a union. They've had some form of board that speaks on their behalf.
I'm a political party at the moment, which is ensuring that the police are doing their job properly. And if that were the case, we wouldn't be in a position where we're having people that are being brutalised and being murdered in police custody. I think there's probably been 1,000 people murdered in police custody. Accountability. So there's never been any police officer charged. None of that has ever been done. And I think the message that comes across from that is that it's okay. And that to me is where the problem is. And if these issues weren't real in society, then there wouldn't be a need for TTIP. And if that were the case, then I wouldn't be in a position where I'm wasting my time to fix a system that isn't broken. But the reality is the system is very broken.
If we do not stand together, they will pick us off one by one. They will knock us down. We have to stand in solidarity, and we have to understand that the Black experience is different.
When we sign up to this political party, have a look at the manifesto, go and register, go and sign the petition for the race offenders register.
Our train drivers, our bus drivers, all of these people are working class. The reality is that they have no representation in Parliament, which is why we've got a situation at the moment where people think it's okay to take away school dinners from children because it doesn't impact, and the people that it's affecting aren't currently represented in Parliament.
Why set up a political party at this time? This party has been behind the scenes getting ready. So even though it's lifting its head above the parapet now, there's, any builders out there, we laid the foundations before you put the house on top of it. In Britain right now, people are stirred up. People are awake more than ever before. And I'm talking about the working class, which make up over 80% of the UK. That demographic now is sort of saying, this is not okay.
They've already made us financially bankrupt. We cannot allow them to make us intellectually bankrupt too. So for Angela Kaler, taking the initiative party.
Okay, Steph, can we wind it down there?
Absolutely powerful, brother. Powerful.
Oh, all right. I don't know if you guys could see that properly because it was kind of jittering on my side. Was it okay for you guys? Did you get the general vibe of what was going on?
We got the general vibe. It did jitter, but we got it, brother.
Okay, excellent. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the beginning now. The reason why I'm going to do this is because I think part of where we ended up with taking the initiative party, I don't know if I can, have I got the, okay, right, I think, can everyone see me? Am I on there? Is it all?
If we can probably come off share screen, we can still see the video.
Okay. All right, Stephanie, can you move the share screen away from me, please? Okay. All right, brilliant. Is that better, Andrew?
Yep, we can see you clearly, King.
Okay. All right, perfect. Right, so I'm gonna jump back to the beginning. The reason why I'm going to do that is because I think before we understand why we've got to take an initiative party, it's important to understand the journey and probably my journey just to help to identify why we are where we are with taking the initiative party, and more importantly, why we're going to get it to a place where we know it can work and why I need everyone involved in order to make it work. Now, there's been a lot going on, and I think we've got to go back to the very beginning. I think one of the things that was mentioned earlier was trauma and how these things impact us and what we do with them, as in how we then deal with that and use it to either A, as a reason to fail at what we're doing, or B, as a reason to succeed at what we're doing. So for me, the journey goes all the way back to when I was in school. And I don't know, actually, Stephanie, can we do the share screen of the slides for the presentation? Is that plausible? Okay. And you can still hear me okay, yeah?
Totally, brother. Yeah.
All right, brilliant. All right, so this is the agenda. So these are the things that I plan to be discussing today and just getting into it in a bit more detail. So you guys have got a bit more of a background into me. Then at the end, I'm just going to summarize as to where we need to be, and ideally what we need from yourselves, or what you guys need to do for yourselves to assist with the next chapter. So if we just move on to the next slide, please, Stephanie. All right, so school. Now I'm going to take it all the way back. When I was in school, I was categorically told by my headmaster that I was unemployable. The reason why that's relevant is, for me, I made a choice then to go into business for myself. A lot of people would make the choice and have made the choice, and a lot of my friends and peers have also made the choice to take different routes. Now, it's really important what decisions we make at the different junctures in our life, because it determines largely the path and the direction of the rest of our life. Now, with that kind of pressure on me, I decided, right, well, do you know what? I can't do, my options are limited. I'm unemployable. I've been told categorically and repeatedly that I'm unemployable. So in my head, I was never going to get a job. So that whole process would have been a waste of time as far as I was concerned. Little did I know that that wasn't actually the case. But when you're young, your mind's impressionable, you take these things on board. I took it as gospel, so I couldn't get a job. What I then did is I decided I was going into business for myself. My first choice was, all right, well, what's the biggest thing I can buy and sell? Because I only had one real ambition at that point, and that was to be rich. That was my kind of overall driving force. And I mean, I think when you're not coming from an environment where you have lots of money, especially in working class Britain, it's one of those where, to a large degree, that sets the agenda and makes you a lot more hungry to achieve. So I decided I was looking at what I could get into. I decided I was getting into property, reason being that I was looking at the biggest things potentially I could buy and sell. And cars, I didn't really feel like a car salesman. So I decided I was going into property, started in lettings and management. I mean, while I was in school, I think it's important to mention as well that my headmaster made it categorically clear to me that his job within the system was to make sure that all of the people that they saw as potential leaders in the community were kicked out before the end of the fifth year, to ruin their schooling. That was the plan, that was the design, that was how it was set up. Unfortunately for him, he had said some very horrible things to me over the years, and my mum had said to me, because even when I went home to tell her what had been said to me, she didn't believe me. So she had said to me, record him. So she'd given me a little dictaphone, sent me to school to record the headmaster when he was saying these things to me. And one of the things he said particularly was that if he was a gambling man, he'd bet money I was out of the school before the end of the fifth year. So that was recorded. He also then said that in every group of people, there are leaders and there's followers, and my job is to eliminate the leaders amongst your lot, basically amongst the black people, so that all the rest fall in line like sheep. Again, saying this, not realizing he was being recorded. So when it got to the point, the event, don't get me wrong, I wasn't well behaved. I wasn't the model student, as in I was a little bit naughty. I mean, I was naughty, as you do at a young age. And I think I wasn't challenged in school, so that kind of made me a little bit more to question the system, let's say. I mean, and basically it got to a place where they had me up for expulsion. My mum requested a meeting with the governors, or the school governors, and then I basically said what this guy had said to me on numerous occasions. He denied it categorically in front of the school board, and then I played the recordings of him saying these things. He had a strong South African accent. There was no grey about the fact it was him that said it. And he in turn got suspended for 6 months pending racial discrimination. But this kind of set me up for what I was getting into as I went into life, because everything that happened in that school, as soon as there was a problem, I was called off, put in a classroom, and had to write an account of my actions for whatever it is. And what we don't realize is that these little things set us up, as in it sets up our mindset, it sets up who we think we'll be in society, it sets up how society potentially views us and how we need to protect ourselves against society. All of these things were set up at that stage. And I think the other thing, I mean, I got suspended a lot in school. I think I got suspended somewhere in the regions of like 10 or 4, well, I think it was nine times. Yeah, I had the record for the most suspensions anyone ever had. And one time, and the classic was when I got suspended for being in school when I was suspended. I'd been suspended, didn't know I'd been suspended, and then they added to my suspension. But their objection was to keep me out of school. As far as they was concerned, I didn't need to be there. I was a disruption when I was there, so let's keep him out. And by the 4th and 5th year, I'd gotten to a place where I only attended school 2 days a week, because my reasoning was using probability and maths that the more I was in school, the more I had of getting expelled. So my objective was to try and reduce that probability by simply not being there. So there's so that was the basics of school and how that side of things worked. Then I decided I'm going into property because I was unemployable. I thought, right, let's get involved here. So again, coming from nothing, I had nothing to lose. Going back, very difficult but eye-opening experiences. I think a lot of what happened at that stage in my life was probably relative to a lot of other students, and I know a lot of the kids, out of 10 black kids that they were in my school year, only 3 of us made it to the end of the 5th year. The rest of us did end up in day centres, etc., which was the standard norm. But then I decided, right, I'm going into property. Didn't know anything about property, and it was only really my confidence, I think, that took me through. So I learned a little bit along the way. I decided I was opening an estate agents and lettings and management. And my father was also in the property game, but we didn't get on. You know, I think there's typical of 2 balls and a pen. So I was kind of right, all right, well, let me just do this and work it out. So I did. I did a property deal, made £1,500 off the property deal, found a property, sold it to a friend of mine. I was paid £1,500 commission, used that to open and basically set up my estate agents. Then spent 2 years doing that, property lettings and management, and then moved into property sales as we were coming out of the recession, and then moved into property development. By the time I was 23, I'd done $1 million through property development, and then I started buying properties. I worked out quite early that the maths in property is quite simple, in the sense that every 6 years they double in value. So my reasoning was, if I buy 10 properties now for 150,000, which is roughly what they were at the time, that in 6 years' time I'd have over $1 million in profit. And effectively my plan was to buy then, and I just continue to buy to the point now where I've done in excess of 10 times that in property. I'm still work very much in property, still develop. I buy houses, build them from the ground up, as well as converting properties into smaller units and renting out, as well as setting up investment portfolios for people. So that's the essence of where and the journey. What I found is in the community generally, when I was looking at and thinking about big business and thinking about making millions in business, one of the things that I lacked, or that I could see a lack of, were role models within the community, that people that looked like me, that had done what I wanted to do. And that in itself limited my mindset as to what could be achieved, which I think is a massive point, because I think that ultimately, and that's why the likes of this show with Brother Andrew, etc., is so important, because if we can see that it's been done, it helps us to understand that we can do it. And a lot of people don't get the opportunity to see it, especially amongst ourselves. They're cool with us having sports, they're cool with us having, you know, the boxing and the other sporting arenas, they're cool with us even having the music. But when it comes to business and property and things like that, it wasn't a setup that we could visualize ourselves in, for the simple fact that we weren't led to believe that we could achieve within it. And ultimately, I think we're in a society where white supremacy is prominent. It's one of those where they have us believe that these things aren't for us. So subconsciously, we lose our ability to achieve, because we don't believe we can, because we're programmed to believe we can't. And that's through the schooling system, through what we're watching on TV, through all of these things. And this whole situation gets really, really deep. And I think to a degree, there's a lot to do, and there's a lot of work to do in order to help people understand. That's why, again, with I heard the Manhood Academy mentioned earlier, and I know brother Andrew does the classes as well, the leadership classes. I think these things are so important, because these are the fundamentals that give us the ability to have the vision, and it's the vision that gives us the ability to achieve. And it's once we achieve, or once we understand that we have the ability to achieve, we can achieve anything. But our minds are limiting what we think we can do. And that comes also, and it stems across into the political arena as well, which we'll talk about in a bit more in a minute. But one of the things I then did is I went and put a book out, basically to assist other people. My objective and my mission at that point was to try and help other young people, especially young Black people, to understand what they could achieve. And the reality, in my view, was if I can achieve it coming from nothing and building my way through, then it can be achieved by anybody. So I wanted to assist other people on this journey and help them to understand that these are things that we can do as Black people. We can have business, we can have accountancy, we can be solicitors, we can do these things. And just because we don't see that many of us out there doesn't mean that those arenas aren't for us as well. So I then put a book out. So Stephanie, can we move on to the next chapter or the next slide, please? Right, so Secrets of Empowerment. Basically, my objectives and my mindset behind it was to effectively give people an understanding of what they could do. There was a lot of things that I found in business, which to me was second nature, but when I'm speaking to other people, I found that they weren't second nature. So what I did is I've basically put 55 principles that I found effective in business and that helped me to basically achieve my goals and things that we kind of live by as entrepreneurs in society. And I basically put them into a book. I mean, one of the things that I didn't mention is, as well as working in the property world, I also dabbled into the music industry, and again had a lot of success within that. And the plan of attack there was just to again take control, because the things that frustrate me is that our culture is probably the most predominant influential culture across the world, but yet we don't control any of the elements of it. What I find is happening is that our culture effectively is being taken from us or stolen from us and then sold back to us. And again, these are things that I had a problem with. So for me, it's a case of the more people we can empower, then the wealth stays where it should be, because ultimately we are the people that are at the core of this. And because we're at the core of it, we should be in a position where we're profiting most from it. But as a result, what I'm finding is that we're at the core of it, but then everyone else is profiting it from it. So again, it's a case of us just being mindful, I think, of what's happening. And just, I mean, what I noticed and what I love about this particular platform is that a lot of people on here are very much awake. And again, there's a lot of us out there who aren't. So I think it's important that we see what's happening here. You know, every time that we make a record and we sell it to whoever, whatever record label it may be, the record label are making the money, but this is our talent. Like, why is it we're in a place where our talent that we've worked to cultivate, our experiences, our history, all of the things that we have been through, which has given us this talent, is then literally being taken from us for peanuts and sold to make millions of pounds all around the world? And why is it we're not involved in that process? So these are the things that upset me as a business person. And the thing was, my view has always been, you know, if you're not in the building, then ultimately you need to look at how you're going to buy the building. And that's the viewpoint that I've always approached in business and in other bits. Then after I found that I'd kind of gone down the route of the Secrets of Empowerment, what I found was I came pretty much under attack from every type of authority there was. And I think the reasons for that was more along the basis of the fact that what I was doing and what I was trying to do, people weren't happy within society for whatever reason. So the more rubbish we throw at him, the more difficult his journey becomes, the less he can inspire and help other people to move along. So at that point, my viewpoint was, all right, well, let's do our bit. We continue on the journey. I mean, I spent a lot of money fighting legal battles, etc., in order to clear my name. And ultimately, we're pretty much at the end of all of that rubbish. But it was one of those where what became apparent to me is the racism within our society goes so deep that even if you are doing things legitimately and legally, you still have a problem, because as a Black person, you're automatically seen as potentially doing something wrong, even if you haven't. So the issues that you're up against is that no matter how you work within society, because of the systemic racism that does go all the way to the core, you're always going to be prejudged. So then the viewpoint was, we need to start to change that dynamic. And the way we're going to do that, which is another conversation, but it's through our media, it's through all of those things. We've got to stop glorifying the dealing of drugs, and we've got to start glorifying Black excellence, because these are the things that will help our next generation understand what they're capable of. I mean, some of these things are so obvious, and it's by design, and that's why it's quite frustrating to watch. Is the reason why the young guys go out and they sell drugs is because every program they watch on TV, the things that they're seeing ultimately only showing them that that's the only way that you can make money in the UK, or in America and the UK, I think are the two predominant forces. But the main issue with that is it's just not true. But because we don't understand who we are and what abilities we've got, our mindset's limited, and the TV, the books, all of the media that goes out basically shows us that we can't be anything other than these things. If you want to do well, the guy you see doing well is the drug dealer. He's the one with the car, he's the one with the women, and all of those things. So subconsciously our young kids are aspiring to be that, and these are the dynamics that we need to change. And that's why, again, hidden truth is massively important, because it shows the other elements of the things within our society that people can achieve. So the secrets of empowerment, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to briefly skip through just some of the chapters. Stephanie, can we move on to the next page, please? Just some of the brief chapters.
Brother, before you do that, brothers and sisters, are you feeling this king today? I mean, he's killing it. If you're feeling this, brother, put some ones. I'm not even joking. I'm not laughing. If he's talking the truth according to your heart, put some ones in that platform, man. Charles, you're killing it already, brother.
Respect, my friend, respect. All right. Yeah, so moving on to the moving on to secrets of empowerment, just some of the things that are in there, because I think it's important that these, again, I think a lot of what I've done and what I've achieved in my life has been down to mindset, because I was told categorically that I couldn't do it. The thing that did for me is made me more determined to succeed. And I think a lot of people in life, they go through the journey and they don't realize what it is that's slowing them down or what it is that's holding them back. And one of the things that I'd say that for me that worked really well was just, I don't look at life, or I don't look at business as business. I don't even look at it as making money. I just look at it from a perspective of winning. And any game that you play, anything that you do in life, have the motivation and the mindset that you want to win. Don't think about making money. This is just an entrepreneurial viewpoint. I've done very well, but my focus has never been making money. My focus has always been whatever game I'm playing, I play to win. So if it and ultimately you want to play with a viewpoint that you don't really want, you want to make sure that you're doing what's right. Do you see what I mean? Don't go into the business with a view of ripping people off. Don't go, all of those things are basically just attract negative energy. So what I find is you've just got to do what you believe to be right, and ultimately just go in with the mindset to win, because then your motivation isn't the money. Your motivation is to be the best. And what I've learned over the years is if you're going to be a road sweeper, you want to be the best road sweeper there is, because sooner or later you'll own that road sweeping company. And this is the attitude I think that we need to try and get into our people. But moving on to basically some of the chapters from the Secrets of Empowerment. So chapter 6 is every time I get it wrong, you're getting one step closer to getting it right. So some people, I find it as a mindset to people. If you get it wrong, you lose your ability to continue the journey. But what people have to understand is, as an entrepreneur and as a person, you will fail, you will get things wrong. But every time you get it wrong, what you've learned is what not to do the next time. And that's the mindset that will keep you going. And that's the mindset that will get you to the end result of ultimate victory. So the key in life for me has always been, I always say, or a saying that I live by quite vividly, is we don't ever lose. We win or we learn, but we never lose. And that's one of the key factors, I think, that just has helped me on the journey. Focus on being the best. As I said before, whatever you're doing, do it to the best of your ability. If you're a road sweeper, be the best road sweeper you are, and you will ultimately own that road sweeping company. If you're an estate agent, be the best estate agent there is. Do the job better than everyone else, because ultimately sooner or later you'll own that estate agency company. I mean, that's the only kind of massive contributing factor that I think has assisted with whatever I'm doing. So even when we talk about the politics, the same principles apply. Whatever we're doing, we want to be the best at it, and we need to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure we win. Whatever the game is we're playing, we want to win. Another one is qualify your source of information. Now, this one's a funny one for me, because there's an element, I think, of people that try not to listen to other people. My thing in life is you listen to everyone, because everyone's on a journey. And what I found is, while you're on that journey, the truth of the matter is there'll be a lot of people you encounter, and they'll all come across your path for different reasons and different things. And my objective has always been to take the time to understand what that person is bringing to your journey. Now, some people have got the ignorant. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a simple aspect to this as well. And I always say that if you take advice from the tramp in the street, sooner or later, you've got to tell him to move over, was my initial kind of theory on it. But what I've learned since then is, after speaking to many tramps on the street, just to get an understanding of how they even got themselves there, is even they can teach you various things about the journey of life that they've made mistakes on, and they can teach you what not to do on your journey. So everybody has input. The thing is, it's just qualifying that source of information. But then the very next point, I move on to chapter 23, which it can't be, because it can't be the same chapter as the one before, but we'll get back to that later. Avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. One thing that I've noticed through life is there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time trying to convince you that you can't do stuff. The truth of the matter is you can. If they can build rockets and fly to the moon, then there's nothing on this earth that you can't do. You might need the right people around to make it happen, but you need to avoid people that try and convince you that you can't. Because what I found in those, I call them, those people are quite draining. They suck the energy out of you. They're always telling you what you can't do and why you can't do it. I try not to even keep company with those people, because what I found is, over the years, is those people suck the core out of who you are, and I call it, for want of a better phrase, pissing on the bonfire, because they will tell you all the reasons why you will fail before you even get started in the game. And these are the people, again, that will discourage, and sometimes it can be people very close to us, and sometimes I find people are even doing it purely because they're concerned that if they don't tell you these things, that your success might surpass theirs. So, and sometimes it's not even their own fault. They just go through the processes, and these are knocks that they've experienced in life. So because they've experienced them in life, they want you to believe that you can't do them either. And they genuinely believe it can't be done because they failed in certain areas. But I'd say that basically in those type of situations, to an entrepreneur or to an entrepreneurial mind, which is where our children need to be moving forward, those people are dangerous, because that is almost like a cancer. And I think the only thing I'd give to advice I'd give to anyone on this platform is, when people come to you with ideas, try your very best not to excuse my French, pee on the bonfire, but ultimately to put oil on it and help it grow. Because ultimately we can do anything. We just need to understand the process, and we need to look at the means and the methods in order to get it done. And the last thing I'm going to mention, which will bring me onto the politics point, is it only takes a grain of sand to move an island. It's all about different energies that we experience, different energies that we encounter. And the truth is, it does physically only take a grain of sand to move an island. Now, we need to believe in ourselves and our ability to move that island, because in doing that, we then give other people the ability to assist us in moving that island. And physically, we can make anything happen. We've just got to want to do it. And we don't talk ourselves out of doing it. We talk ourselves into getting it done. And that's the mindset. The last thing I'm going to finish on, just from the secrets of empowerment, then I'm going to go on to the relevant point, is the 5 Ps. Perfect planning prevents piss poor performance. Again, it comes all the way back to these very simple factors in life. Think about what you're doing, plan it out, take advice from people that have already been around that block, because they will be able to tell you what not to do. But ultimately, all you want to do is be in a position where you've learned all of the negative aspects, you've understood them, you've considered them, you've made sure that your plan accommodates them and make sure that they're not going to stop you from doing what you're doing. And then you've got to lead, follow, or tell them to get out of the way, because that's the only way that you get ahead in business. And the truth of the matter is, we can do a lot more than we're led to believe we can do. But the problem that we have is these things get beaten out of us as we go through life. And what I've found is we start life effectively as kids believing we can fly, and then as we go through life, it gets taken away from us bit by bit by bit. So the key for us is to understand that we can fly and work out how we're going to fly. And once we take that approach and take that attitude and take that mindset, you become unstoppable. And I think that's a massive point for everyone to just bear in mind and understand the strength and the power of who we are. The belief and the things that slow us down aren't what we believe we can't. It's the people that tell us what we can't do. It's not our ability to not do it, because we can do anything. If they can build rockets and fly to the moon, so can we. We might need a good and expensive team, but we can do it. All right, so I'm going to move on now. So taking the initiative party. All right, so this moves us on to the next, and one of the main reasons why we're here. I thought it was important to give you guys a bit of background on me, because it helps to understand why we are where we are with TTIP. So taking the initiative party effectively is the UK's first Black-led political party. My plan of attack is ultimately to start getting involved within the political system to change the dynamic of what's happening. Now, as an analyst, I analysed the whole system. I spent a lot of time getting to understand why it is that our power dynamic is so little within the UK. And what I then realised is it's because we're not in the game. I mean, what's really strange is our ancestors and our parents and literally our parents fought for the right to vote. But then they've got us to a place where, as Black people, we don't even want to and can't be bothered because we think it's pointless. And then the other problem is that, so I'm seeing notes on here. All right. Sorry, the other problem is that as a people, they've subconsciously kicked us out of the game and we don't even realize it. So what they've done is, even though they've given us the right to vote, the problem that we have is, who are we voting for? And the issue that we then have is, if I'm not voting for someone who looks like me, who's going to represent me, then why am I even getting involved? And why am I going to waste my time going out to vote? But that's all part of their design. These are the things that the more I understood it, the more it made sense to me, because we've been put in a place where we're literally, we don't want to vote. We can't even be bothered to waste our time voting. I personally, until I got involved in this, didn't vote because to me it was pointless, because you're asking me to vote for someone who didn't represent me. So why am I wasting my time going down to a voting station and to vote for someone who isn't going to really care about what happens to me? So I thought, right, how can we fix that? And the way I went about fixing it was, right, well, the key and the problem is that we need to be able to vote for our people. And that's the only way that we're going to change the dynamic. And what that does is that gives us a seat effectively at the political table. Because what I realized was that, and it's a saying that I've heard, and if you've heard me speak before, you would have heard me say it, is that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And largely that is where we are as Black people in the UK. We're not a part of any decisions that are being made, but yet we're in a position where we have to deal with the consequences of that decision being made. And effectively, as far as I'm concerned, basically, I carry in me the blood of slaves as well as the blood of revolutionaries. But the point is, if we're not utilizing what we have and the strength that we're given, then what is the point? And even though we've fought and got our vote, if we're not using it, what is the point? And the thing is, what I find is they hide these things in plain sight. Because then at that point, I sat down and I thought, right, because after I'd had my issues with it, and it was largely started by Lewisham Council, again, through the systemic racism aspect of things, I thought, right, how can I, because I'm the guy who will buy the building. I'm the guy who sat down and thought, right, now, how is it I'm going to get back at all these people that have taken liberties with me? And what I decided is, we'll have a look at the political aspects. We'll go in, we'll take control of the council politically, and we'll sack all the people that peed me off, because that's the type of person I am. I believe revenge is a dish best served cold. But then I realized, and I had to think about it, and I thought, right, well, Labour don't really represent me, because that's not what I'm about. I'm business, entrepreneurship. And then Conservative don't represent Black people, full stop, and are very much about themselves, really. So the problem I then had was, how do I then circumvent that? And so I spoke to a good friend of mine who he's co-founded the party with me, and was again, as most young brilliant Black people do, was currently at the time at Her Majesty's pleasure, because again, these people were brought into the system, and their objective is to keep us out of it. And if we're too much of a threat to the system, they do what they can to stop us changing the dynamic of the system. And I had the conversation and said, listen, is it the case that we can set up a political party? Can it be done? So he went away, did some research, and came back, yeah, we can do it. So ultimately, the plan of attack then was, all right, well, let's set up our own political party and let's get our seat at the table. The way I kind of saw it was, if we don't get our seat at the table, we're always going to be on the menu. We'll always be in a position where we're not involved in the decision making. Now, things that are relevant is to become a local councillor within each area. Things that we're not told is that you can get in some wards and some boroughs with as little as 300 votes. Now, we did a by-election last year, and the reason why I did that is because I wanted to get an understanding of how this whole political system works and how easy it was, or non-easy, or difficult it was to actually obtain votes. And within 2 weeks, we managed to pull in 500 votes, in excess of. And what that showed, and that was just basically in one ward. And what that showed me is that we can very much do this. We can very much get our people voted in. And once we get our people voted in at the local councillor seats, then what happens is, when any decisions are being made that impact us, like grant funding, all of those things that at the moment we're not even in the conversation, all of those things we then have control over. We then have a say what happens with grant funding. We then have a say what happens in relation to planning permission in our area. We then have a say what happens with the youth centre down the road. We have a say what happens with the education curriculum within that borough. And these are all things, and we have a say about the grant funding to educate our children with the likes of Andrew Muhammad and so on and so forth. And all of these things we then get control over. But again, these things aren't told to us. They keep this information hidden from us, and then they make it a difficult task. So for argument's sake, if you want to be a councillor with Labour or with Conservative, you have to have been with the party for X amount of years. We've taken all of that down. What we've said is, do you know what? If you guys are passionate and want to represent the community, get involved, because what we're doing is we've lined up the table, we've rolled up the red carpet, we've set your place at the table. What we need now is for all of us to get involved in order to make the changes that need to be made. And I think the important part here as well is the Queen didn't go to Africa on her own and take over and steal all our wealth. And ultimately, if we're going to change the dynamic and continue the work that our parents have done and try and make a better position for our children moving forward, we've got to step up and get involved. We've got to understand, and what I'm looking for from today and moving forward, and if anyone knows anyone who knows anyone, there's a conversation to be had, but we need people who want to represent their community. And I need you guys to go online and sign up, basically, because as long as we can get you guys involved in the fight, then we've got a good chance of winning. And there's a situation, someone explained to me, but what about the Labour MPs that we've got? What about the issue that we have within those arenas is, and I'm going to use an analogy to describe it, is that basically you can imagine, if you imagine Hercules, the best mythical fighter, who's probably black, but we're led to believe is white. And basically he's the guy, the best fighter in the world. If he has to fight his own army before he can get to the battlefield, as no matter how great he is, he's never going to win that fight. By the time he gets to the battlefield, he's already beaten up, punched up, bruised, battered, and then he's going out potentially to fight for his people. That's the problem I think that we have with a larger part of the MPs that we have in place right now. What I'm proposing is that we have an army that we're all on the same side. No, you're not fighting your internal army before you can get to the battlefield. You're fresh for the battle by the time you get to the battlefield, because your internal army has got your back. And the problem that I think a larger part of our MPs have, especially the black representation of the MPs, is if they speak up, they're quickly backbenched. And if their views aren't in line with our party lines, then the problem that they have is that they will be put in a place where they're ultimately shelved as a result, or they're put in a place where they're scandalized and kicked out of the party. So even though they're supposed, and the problem I think that largely that they have as well is that they have to, for want of a better word, kiss a lot of white arse in order to get where they need to be. So the problem that they have with that is that by the time they get to that place where they're in a position to help our people, they're so punch drunk and so beaten up by the system that they haven't got anything left to fight for us with. So I'm not even blaming them. I'm just saying, do you know what? You're just on the wrong camp, and we've got to set up our own camp where we're in a position to represent ourselves, because if we can do that, we can move forward as people and we can take over this game, because we've been winning at everything. We've been winning at everything. We're better, we're more passionate at most things. The problem that we have is we're not organized, and what we need to do is, if we're going to sit down and get a seat at this table, is we need to get organized. And all I've done is I've set up the premise and the basis for us to do that, because in doing that, we'll be in a position where we can set up our children for the future. Because as it stands at the moment, I think as black people, especially in the UK, things have digressed. They're not getting better. And if we don't step up and start doing something about it, expect it to get worse still. So for me, it's a case of I'm doing my bit in order to move us into the next situation, into the next chapter. And this vehicle has been created for all of us. And it's one of those where all I need you guys to do is we need to stop the backbiting. We need to stop talking negatively about each other, and we need to start uniting, and we need to start moving forward as a unit, which is constructive. Because I think the issue that we have, and largely it goes all the way back to slavery days, but as black people, we're too quick to criticize, we're too quick to judge, we're too quick to blame, we're too quick to talk badly about each other, but yet we're not each other's enemy. But they've got us working like going back to the house niggas and the field niggas back in the day. where they're constantly turning us against each other. And we have to understand that if we're going to progress as a people, we have to stop the rubbish and we have to start focusing on moving forward as a unit. Because once we can do that, we become unstoppable. We can only win this as an army. But the problem is that they've got our army divided on so many levels because they're literally having us up. And then they plant a little seed in there. That person doesn't like this person starts talking to that person. They've cracked our unity and we've got problems again. So we just need to understand.
Brother Charles,
Yep.
can I just come in on that point? Because, brother, you are absolutely, brother, hitting the nail on the head. I just want, you use the term, we are victims of disorganized thinking. And if those of us who watch movies, there's a very powerful symbolic movie called The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. And The Wizard of Oz, as you know, there's one of the characters was the Scarecrow, who literally, wanted a brain, and but didn't appreciate how powerful his brain already was. When you watch the movie, he was one that outthought all of them to get down to Emerald City to see the Wizard of Oz. But when the Wizard of Oz got to him, or when he got to the Wizard of Oz just gave him a piece of paper and says, "Listen, man, your brains have been there from day one, but you are a victim of disorganized thinking." And I think that is one of the core elements that we've got to deal with in our community. Yeah, it's had, and another thing I just want to add in what you're saying there, brother, because I'm trying to keep quiet, brother, but you got me popping off camera, okay, King. No, I'm not even laughing, brother. I'm talking real talk, brother. I'm talking real talk. Another thing that you stated is that, we are a people that seem to come across as, putting each other down, pointing, judging each other. But what I want us to appreciate, brothers and sisters, there is a hidden hand behind the scenes. There is a hidden agenda. When we try to unite, when we try to come together, and then all of a sudden it all goes into shambles and it all goes into imploding, I guarantee you there's a hand that we can't see that is maneuvered and made sure that they divided us and conquered us. And so therefore, if we know this from our history, in America, they had what they call the counterintelligence program, which was in writing: do not allow the rise of a black messiah. Do not allow the groups to come together. Do not allow someone who can electrify the masses to see their power. If they had that amongst the FBI, and we know that there's a special relationship between the America and the UK, don't you think the FBI and the MI5 understand this process? I know that every time I talk about the hidden hand, and I'm going to names, dates, and figures, all of a sudden, my platform is hit. People can't get online. I can't do my emails. There's a hidden hand that makes sure, Brother Charles, that and that's what I like about yourself, and that's what I like about people like yourself. And that's the reason why I'm very particular who comes onto my platform, because it's got to be solution orientated. And what you're identifying the problem, brother, but you're smashing the solution too. And this is what I need. This is what we need in our community. Thank you, King. Carry on, brother.
Thank you, Brother Andrew. Yeah, no, I mean, where I'm coming from, as I said, my objective is I'm doing my part in kind of giving us the platform to get involved and to do what we need to do. The hard part's been done. We're registered. We're fully registered as a political party. So all of these things are already in place. All we now need you guys to do is to step up and take your seat at the table. Now, one of the things that we're doing is we're doing training courses. I mean, we're based in Croydon, so we're doing training courses currently in Croydon. But what we're doing is we're teaching people what it is, because what I found is that a lot of the reasons people don't get involved is a lack of confidence through a lack of understanding. So what we've been doing is teaching people. So we've basically set up a few training courses where we're educating people on effectively how and what's involved in being a local councillor, what the day in the job requires and what you receive from it. I mean, the other thing that a lot of people don't even know is basically, one, you can get in with as little as 300 votes, and two, it's a paid role. Like, you get paid for doing the work part-time, so you get to help your people and you get paid in the event that you get in there. So these are little things that, again, are kept from us. They don't tell us what's really going on. And ultimately, when it comes down to making the decisions that are impacting our youth and our future, we have to be at that table. Like, we can't be sitting down paying our big taxes every month for this, that, and the other, and then we're not involved when these things come up, and then we're sitting there crying about what they're doing to us. But the truth is, we're allowing it to be done to us because we're not stepping up and getting involved in the system. And I empathize with the people, as I said, that have gone through the Labour system and gone through the Conservative system. And I also empathize with the Black people out there that say there's no point, because I meet them, I talk to them every day, and I fully get what they're saying, because as I said, I was pretty much of the same ilk. But this is, the times are changing, the dynamics changing, and it's just for us now to step up, get involved, and do what we've got to do. Because at the end of the day, if we don't change it, no one ain't going to change it for us. And I know, I mean, I saw a meme the other day about we're waiting for white Jesus to come and save us, but he ain't going to save us. And that's the truth. So at the end of the day, we need to save ourselves. And when we look at communities, I mean, another thing I want to mention is in the UK, we represent 3 million approximately. That's the ones that have registered. And what I think is important to note is the Jewish community represents 270,000. And look what they've achieved. We've got 90% more numbers, and we can't even get ourselves together. Like, that's why for me, I said, you know what, and a lot of people have come to me and said, you know what, you're wasting your time. Black people are their own worst enemy, blah, 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 blah. But you know what I say? I say, listen, when people said to me when I couldn't survive in business at 19, I told them then to F off, and I'm telling them F off now. If you're not on route with what we're doing, come out the way, because at the end of the day, we're going to make this thing happen. We're going to get ourselves into a position of strength, and we're going to control our own futures. And that's imminent based on where we are and where we're going. And my viewpoint is, if you're either part of the journey, you're either part of the solution or part of the problem. And if you're not part of the solution, then, you know, you just need to step aside and let us do what we're doing, and let the right people get involved in taking this thing to the next level. But what I need from all of you is anyone who's remotely interested in representing and supporting the community, I need you to go onto our website. I'm going to give you the address now. And what I'd like you to do is, even while we're online, if you can, just go on there. It's www.ttip. Oh, hold on, wait, I can't remember it. ttip.org.uk. That's www. Stephanie, can you put it in the chat for me, please? It's www.ttip.org.uk. The plan of attack is, I need you all to go online, register, get involved. If you want to be a paid member, that's up to you. But this isn't about money. This is about victory, and this is about winning, and this is about making a better future. If you want to support the cause, fine. I mean, I've taken my own money and put it into getting us where we are. And I mean, the thing that, I mean, we spoke about Sister Sasha earlier. I mean, at the end of the day, obviously what happened with Sister Sasha has been a tragedy, and Sister Sasha was very much involved in what we were doing at TTIP. But what I would like to say is, at the end of the day, we don't know what happened. None of us were there. But obviously something ain't right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. And what I'd like to say is that, again, I think some of these things almost happen with a view to discouraging us and stopping us from moving forward. And I mean, the only thing for me, what they've done is, again, as the system has been doing to me for a long time, is just upset me more. And my viewpoint is, for Sasha, for all the people that are basically, that, you know, we can't explain what's happened, that we need to step up and get involved, because if we don't change this dynamic, it's never going to change, and we'll always be, you know, what if this happened, what if we don't know what happened with Sister Sasha. We don't know, we weren't there. None of us saw. So unfortunately, we can only have a view. But my viewpoint is that we need to not let things like that get in the way of what we need to get done. And the only thing that says to me is that we're doing what we need to do, and we're doing it right. And people are worried about what's to come, and they need to be worried about what's to come, because there's only so much liberties you can take with a group of people, and then one day they're going to wake up and bite back. And that's kind of where we're at now. So basically, all of you, we need everyone to get involved. We need everyone to be involved. We need everyone to have a seat at the table. We're focusing our main energy in Croydon now, but the party is a national party, so we can sign up people. If you've got silos of people that you work with and you're confident you can build up support in your area, we're happy to support you to do that. But it's time for us to now step up and take control of our own futures, because as I said, if we don't do it, no one's going to do it for us. And I'm concerned about the fact that in a very short space of time, I'm quietly concerned that we might be back in chains if we don't play our cards right, because that's the way this thing's going. That's the way this thing's going. As Harriet Harman said, you know, she freed thousands of slaves, but she could have freed thousands more if they knew they were slaves. And a lot of what's going on in this system is moving on different levels. And I think we need to start waking up to what's happening and taking control of the next chapter. Because as I said, if we don't take control of it, then don't cry about what comes. But there's a lot wrong and we can make it right, but it needs all of us to get involved and do it. And that's the main message I want to get out there today, is basically we all need to work together if we're going to start to move on any level of constructive level and start to change the dynamic of what's happening. We need to be at the table, and it takes all of us to have a seat. So yep, that was all I wanted to say, Brother Andrew. I don't know if there's any other bits, and people
Come
I know
on, brothers and sisters, make some damn noise. Brothers and sisters, I'm not even joking. You know what we said? If you're not part of that solution, man, you're going to be a part of it. And if you don't believe what we're doing, then get the hell out of our way, man. Get the hell out of our way. Brothers and sisters, come on, man. Come on. This is a platform of inspiration, motivation, and aspiration. Brother Charles, man, you know what? You killed the game. You killed the game. It's only 8:45. We're nearly touching 400. But you know what, brother? Boy, I want to give massive thanks to Sister Stephanie behind the scenes, working away. But brother, you killed the game. You killed the game. I'm gonna open. Sister Jarita, are there any questions that you know? I know I saw a few questions. I know, in fact, Jarita, you answered some of the questions. But Sister Jarita, was there any questions? I think I saw one or two coming through, but brother Charles just on point. Sister Jarita.
Hi, Brother Charles. Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
Thank
you so much for the presentation. Very inspiring, very, very direct, very motivating. If we had our finger somewhere, we've pulled it out now.
Absolutely.
The question is from Shola. She says, do you think black people are too liberal in their politics as a whole?
Too liberal in their politics. What does she mean by that?
That's the question that she's put forward. Shola, if you're still online, add something to that question. But as it is, I'm not too sure if you're going to get an answer that you want. That's literally, I think. We did have somebody comment on how expensive your book is on Amazon currently. It's like 90 something pounds. But you can find it on your phone. It's much cheaper.
Hold on that, I can give you the web address for the book. Actually, you can buy it directly online. It's only about, I think it's about £5 or something like that. But I mean, hold on, if I give you the, let me find it. Stephanie, can you find the slide with it? Right, it's secrets, right, it's www.secretsoe.co.uk. Stephanie, can you put that in the chat for me as well, please? Yeah, so yeah, no, I think that's people reselling, to be fair, because I don't think it was available anymore on Amazon apart from the Kindle version. So if they want a physical version, you can do it via the website and we'll get it sent out to you.
Lovely.
All right, no, so £8.99 is probably right. Apologies. I saw a comment in there.
Yeah, we saw it on Amazon. We were like, £90 this is the work of the enemy here. They don't want us to read this book at all. And
I saw one question, Jarita. Sorry, my queen. I saw one question saying, do you have to live in Croydon in order to participate in your counsellor training?
No. You can come from anywhere you want. If you make contact, just literally sign up through the website. You can message us straight on there via email, and we're happy to basically bring people in from wherever. As I said, it's not limited to people from Croydon. We've got people running in Enfield. We've got people running in surrounding boroughs as well. But Croydon's where we're placing most of our energy, because we've got a larger part of the black population is in Croydon already. So the thought process was, let's focus our energy on the doorstep first and target our attack. But we have got people, if people have got support networks in Enfield, etc., that are happy to run, and we just provide them with leaflets and bits and pieces and support as to how to do it, then we're happy for them to run in other areas, because we do have the ability to do that via the Electoral Commission. So we can literally run people across the country. So yeah, we're not limited to Croydon. The book title is
Fantastic. Was there
Secrets of
anything else, Rita?
Yeah, so we've got a question from somebody called Henry, L. Henry. Is Brother Charles planning to put up candidates nationwide, and will he target Labour or Tory MPs?
Yeah, we are going nationwide. I think largely we've targeted the Labour MPs purely because well, I think the problem that they have is they used to represent working class Britain. A majority of us are coming from working class backgrounds, but it's not where they are now. And with Sir Keir Starmer at the helm, we can obviously appreciate the fact that he doesn't really know anything about working class Britain. So I think at the moment, largely working class Britain is unrepresented. So that's kind of where we're placing our energy, because ultimately we feel, and as we said before, most of our people are from working class backgrounds. So what our aim and objective is to effectively get support and representation at a working class level, which currently isn't represented in Labour or Conservatives, unfortunately, and which is strange considering 75% of the population are working class, but that is where we're at.
Drita, can I just comment on that one point, sister, before you come back in? Brother Charles, what is your views over the last few days, seeing the number one element story on the news at the moment is the fat cat mentality amongst MPs, and how, you know, Boris is looking after, even when they are caught, they look to change the rules in terms of getting more money, doing extra canvassing for their own companies. What's your views, and what would you like to say to us, the black community, when we see things like this?
Well, do you know what? More importantly than anything else, it's upsetting, because I think the truth of the matter is we're dealing with corruption at such an extreme level that the reality is that all of our taxpayers' money isn't going where it needs to go. And the problem is, I wouldn't even be upset if they were doing the job they were supposed to be doing. But the reality is what they're doing is lining their pockets, and they literally don't give a damn about what happens to everyone else. I mean, Croydon, as an example, I can tell you that through this borough on an annual basis goes 800 million. So that's 200 million shy of £1 billion. And the question that I have to ask myself is, where does this money go? Like, the things and the levels of corruption I've seen are beyond a joke. I mean, they merged with a property company down here and apparently invested 200 million, which just disappeared. I mean, there was a refurbishment of a building effectively in Croydon that they reckon they spent 70 million on. I could have done that for 500 grand. So I mean, there's lots of things wrong, and I think the level of corruption goes very, very deep, and it's a lot of jobs for the boys. And the main issue with it is we're not the boys. So unfortunately, we're not getting those jobs, and I think we need to be placing ourselves in a position where we can get those jobs and basically look after and build, and more importantly, do the job properly. Because I think the two issues I have with it is, one, that we're not getting the jobs, and two, they're not even doing the jobs well. So the way I see it is we can change that dynamic by, you know, getting in the game, but at the very least just doing the job properly. I don't think it's too much to ask when you're signing yourself off for a few 100,000 a year. At least you can do is do the work.
Absolutely, brother, absolutely. Drita, was there anything else I wanted to? Was there another question, Drita, on that?
Yes, there was. So you obviously mentioned some training earlier. Just some questions about whether it's online training or is it face-to-face? How does that training take place?
Yeah, no, it is face-to-face, and we are looking at the feasibility of putting it online. But I'm quite old-fashioned. Me, I like a real room with real people, so you can kind of see who's in there and talking. So
in some situations, in some situations, it's best to do it face-to-face. You can't do everything online. I see that, brother.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I mean, at the moment, we have been working physically. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I thought you got to the end there. Last question then I've got here is, what can we do as Black people to increase our political education? If you've got any resources that you could recommend. It's Shola again. Shola's asking this question.
Okay, I mean, what I would say is that I think the problem that we have with the current political information that's out there is that if you research it to a large degree, it will tell us subconsciously that it's not for us. So I think it's one of those we've got to kind of suck it and see. I think the issue that we have with politics at the moment is that a lot of the people in there are coming from Oxfords, your Cambridges, and so on and so forth. And the truth is, they're not real people. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take real people and teach them about politics so that we can deal with things at core, so we can deal with things at the right passionate level. The issue that I see at the moment is that we're dealing with politicians who they're all the old boys club. They're all kind of in that establishment. And the problem is that if you're not, I mean, this, and again, this system goes deep. It all is by design. But the truth of the matter is, if you're not in the old boys club, you're never going to be accepted as a politician. And these are the problems. I mean, you've Boris and his cabinet, they all went to the same school, a lot of them. So the truth is, we're put in certain areas where we don't have access to any of those things. And their objective is to keep us out. So all I'm doing is I'm opening the door. So as far as we're teaching people what it is, and the truth of the matter is, politics isn't overly complicated, even though it impacts everything we do, from VAT to PAYE is all impacted by politics. Even the petrol, what we're paying at the petrol pump, is all impacted by politics. But they've subconsciously kept us out of the game. And what we need to do is, if we're going to get involved and influence and impact any of those decisions, we've got to get into the game.
Oh, that is fantastic, Brother Charles. Could you just come off share screen 1 second, brother? Oh, Stephanie. On my one, I still got.
Stephanie, can you? Yeah.
Fantastic. Brothers and sisters, I mean, Brother Charles, I just want to touch on something, because I love the fact that the way that you took us on a journey from the economical aspect through to the political aspect, brother, which really, politics and economics is really one and the same thing if we really but understood the root of it all. But I brothers and sisters, you know, this has been so fantastic tonight. I just want to play something just to emphasize what Brother Charles has just been speaking about. And to me, this is really powerful. And I've got to thank Sister Corrine for sending this through to me. But this is so powerful. And it just shows that what Brother Charles said, we are the best, we are innovators, but we don't get any recognition for our innovation. So brothers and sisters, just listen to this and remember what Brother Charles, the journey that he took us on through the economical stage.
Wireless earbuds are the latest trend in the communication world. And virtually all mobile phone brands are now coming up with their own version of earbuds. One Ghanaian tech entrepreneur has added innovation to the earbuds economy with his own invention. Danny Manu. This is the Ghanaian British man who has developed earbuds that auto-translate other languages. According to Keith V, the earbuds can simultaneously translate over 40 languages.
Pablo, you know this is my favorite show that I ever go on.
Pablo, sabes que este es mi programa favorito al que siempre voy.
The product, called Click, is said to be the world's first truly wireless earphones with live voice translation supporting 40 languages. The wireless Bluetooth headset works by pairing to a smartphone. The earbuds then automatically detect the language being spoken and provide a spoken translation within a sentence or two.
I hope you are having a good time here.
Ich hoffe, Sie hier eine gute Zeit.
Click does not require internet like other similar inventions. The device, which has been on the rise since its invention under the Manu brand, has won customers across Europe, US and Asia. Manu tells Keith V that the journey has been long and stressful, attributing his success to hard work and determination. Manu built his business through self-financing. This was down to the challenges black startups in the UK face in accessing capital or venture funding. He said, "Like all the other ethnic minority-run businesses within the UK, I had a hard time getting the funding and financial support from banks and government-funded programs that I needed. In the light of the above, Manu had to explore other means to raise funds for his startup. He used his personal savings, own sales and funds he raised from crowdfunding sites. If you truly believe in your product and ideas, you shouldn't have too much trouble convincing other people to believe in them too," he said. According to Keith V, he raised over $5 million on crowdfunding websites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. When COVID-19 struck, the Manchester business owner innovated in order not to go out of business. He saw a business opportunity in producing PPE and other safety equipment to help protect people in the Manchester area from the pandemic. I wanted to help my community and do some good, and Meatybird was the perfect solution, said Manu. I saw how COVID-19 was affecting the BAME communities and my fellow local businesses here in Manchester. It was heartbreaking to watch. He established Meatybird to go into the production of PPEs and other safety equipment, and within weeks, he supplied much-needed PPE and subsequently shipped out over 15 million PPE to countries in need. For other aspiring entrepreneurs who want to venture into the tech space, Manu said focus on your successes and believe in yourself. He continued, if you surround yourself with your accomplishments and don't stop believing in your dreams, you'll have a real chance. Hope you enjoyed this video. In order not to miss other impressive videos, subscribe to this channel, like and
Wow. Brothers and sisters, how many of us have not know that? That's one of our brothers here in the UK. You know what I'm saying? And Brother Charles, to me, that story backed up what you've been through and what you're saying. And you know what you know, as we finish, Brother Charles, I wanted Sister Shanice to come on. One of our fans, she's on the platform, but she's having her dinner because she had 1 or 2 questions for you. And that sister is such a powerful sister. So we salute Sister Shanice. But Brother Charles, when you listen to that, as a political analyst, what do you say when you see something like that? The greatness that's coming out of our community.
You know what it is? The truth is, there's a lot of talent. I mean, I saw a program going back a few years ago, and basically what happens is, as Black people in society, if we're moving into technology and things like that, what happens is it was a try and set the scene. It was an old slave masters kind of movement, and they were all discussing and talking about how they control their slaves. And what the guy said is, the white guy came and he said, why is it that you allow your slaves in order to get involved and integrate with you and things like that? And the white guy's response was that basically, in allowing our slaves to integrate, basically they become useless to their own and a benefit to us. And unfortunately, because of even with what he did and what he was doing, he was still in a position where he had to basically compromise and sell some of his product in order to get it where it needed to be. What we need to do is we need to be in a position where we can build our own. It shouldn't be this much work because we've got the talent. The problem is that we can't enhance it and get it to the final goal ourselves. And these are things that I want to change, because if we don't change it, we'll always be in a position where they're taking our talent and selling it back to us.
Absolutely, brother.
That's the bit that scares me.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, brother. We've got to marshal this genius ourselves. Brothers and sisters, wow, what a night. Dr. Elaine, I don't know if you're still with us in Chicago. I don't know if you're still with us in Chicago.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm here.
Yes, sister. I mean, what was your views of tonight's show, and Brother Charles, the founder of our first political party?
Oh my goodness, it was absolutely fantastic. That's why I stayed on. Thank you so much, Brother Charles. I sent to Brother Andrew some information about the 1972 Black Political Convention here in the United States. It was held not too far from where I live in Gary, Indiana. That may give you some insight and some ways to maneuver and protect your party more so than we were able to do so.
Wow, wow, wow.
Thank you. We
yes,
need all
thank
the
you.
all the knowledge, all of it. Like, this is a new quest, but ultimately, I mean, a lot of people don't realize, and I even when I'm out and I'm speaking to a lot of the elders out there, they're like, you know, I've done my bit. I'm like, you know what, there's still work to do. Like, you've done your bit, you've got our vote, you've done the work, but help us to take it to the next stage. We need your knowledge, we need your wisdom, we need your understanding in order to take us to the next stage. And I think we've got to be very mindful of that. And it's an ignorant person who thinks that they've learned and know everything. Do you see what I mean? We've all got to sit down and respect the fact that we're still learning. Every day is a new learning experience. As I said, every time I come on Brother Andrew's show, I learn stuff.
Yeah. The other thing I would share with you is that the time is changing. Consciousness is changing. So what happened before that didn't work doesn't mean that it might that we'll have the same results. Something very, very profound is afoot within the consciousness of humanity, especially our people, and we can see differences.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, 100%.
Always the wisdom coming from our sister, Dr. Elaine. Brothers and sisters, you've heard it from Dr. Elaine and Brother Charles. Absolutely awesome tonight, brothers and sisters. And as we talk about our greatness, Brother Charles, you've been absolutely magnificent tonight, brother. We really thank you. Brothers and sisters, please, again, one more time, show some love for our Brother Charles in the chat room. Let him see. Don't put it down if you didn't feel it, because we ain't about massaging ego tonight. But brothers, if you really felt this brother and you love his strategy and his plan and his heart and his analysis of what we need to do here in the UK, please, put down some ones, put down Smelly. If you smelt him, Smelly, brothers and sisters, because I could smell him. I could absolutely smell him from here. Absolutely smellified. Oh my goodness, gumdrops, man. Brother Charles, you're brother, we pray that Allah blesses you, King, and blesses your family just for the work that you're doing today for our people. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. Don't forget, we heard from our Brother Davis, the 20th of November. Please, brothers and sisters, make your way down to North London and support Manhood Academy Global, and let them know that we're with them, with the youth, the Lion's Den. The details are there. Make sure you support our brother and the great works they're doing in Manhood Academy. Please, brothers and sisters, don't forget tonight, purchase your book, The 100 Word Stories for Reflection. Our king and our brother